Si comes tienes que lavar tu plato, Firulais. Anda, enjuágalo bien. No me gruñas. A ver, con la esponja eso. Y enjuaga bien que luego deja todo jabonoso. Eso así, muy bien, aunque de malas.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Become a world title holder at Superfly and then go do the Undisputed at Bantam. So my last fight in Miami was Bantam, but I actually weighed in at Superfly. And that was with having a big dinner, a big breakfast, and I still weighed in at Superfly. I can now campaign at both. So I can campaign at Superfly, I can campaign at Bantam, but the belt's all tied up at Bantam. So when I found that out, I would have to wait at least a year to fight at the Undisputed. I was like, right, I'm going to get my shit into gear and I'm going to go down to Superfly so that I can have the options of both. The fact that I can wait a year, become a world title holder at Superfly and then go do the Undisputed at Bantam and be a two-time weight division world champion, I'm going to do it.
Shannon Courtney has a fight coming up against the novice boxer in Sasha Booker on the undercard of Harper versus Dubois, scheduled for 8 rounds in the bantamweight division before Shannon drops down to 115, where she means to become a 2-weight world champion. Her opponent, Sasha Booker, is 34 years old with only 4 professional bouts, where Shannon is a veteran of 13, sporting a professional record of 10 wins with 3 losses and no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 13 professional starts, former WBA bantamweight champion, who isn't going to wait around in the bantamweight division for her crack at the apple. She's not currently one of Shernika Johnson's mandatory challengers. So if what you want is a title in the bantamweight division, you're going to be waiting around a long while, a year, perhaps more than that, as there are several fighters in the queue ahead of Shannon. There's former champion Miyo Yoshida, the mandatory via the IBF, and former champion Dina Thorsland, who wants her chance to win her titles back, all of which might get a shot at Shernika before Shannon. So she's saying that she's not going to wait around. Before that, she'll drop down to Superfly and see if she can't win a title down there. But what are Shannon's chances of becoming a 2-weight world champion by moving down?
Who's the most beatable champion down there?
I would say it's the IBF champion of Mexico, Irma Garcia, who's in her mid-40s, not particularly active, and long in the tooth. The issue there is that Irma Garcia is already attached to an Emma Doolin fight that I think Irma is going to lose, and I think Emma will take the IBF title from her. Perhaps Shannon can see about fighting Emma, who is still a lot less experienced than Shannon is.
Emma would be the most beatable. The second most beatable fighter with a belt would have to be Florida's own Jasmine Artiga, who's got the WBA title, also less experienced than Shannon Courtney, and has been on the receiving end of at least one very generous decision.
And what was the Regina Chavez fight for the vacant WBA title? Jasmine may have more recorded fights than Shannon, but Shannon's the one that's been in there with the better fighters. That's what makes her more experienced. Now, beyond Irma and beyond Jasmine, it only gets more difficult from here because the WBC champion, Adelaida Ruiz, would be a very dangerous fight for Shannon Courtney. Put simply, I don't think Shannon beats her. I think Adelaida Ruiz would outdog her. She'd walk her down and she'd beat her up. Mizuki Hiruta.
Why consider the best in show at 115 pounds, both the WBO and Ring Magazine champion? She can outdog Shannon Courtney, or she can outbox her. Of all the champions at this weight, Mizuki is the most versatile, and she's only getting better, trained by Manny Robles.
No pasa nada.
Shannon doesn't beat her either, so if it's just about moving to a new weight and winning a title, there's an avenue of opportunity in either Irma Garcia, Emma Doolin, or Jasmine Artiga, but the other two girls with belts, she better stay away from them.
Maybe Shannon plays this like a pit stop. She only makes a brief campaign at 115, waiting for the coast to clear at 118. Because even if Shernika Johnson were available for a fight with Shannon, I don't think Shannon beats her either. If she had that opportunity to challenge Shernika for all the belts, I think Shernika would outmuscle her. I think she would outdog her.
And if by some lucky dog chance Shannon managed to win a decision against Shernika, she would still have to deal with Dina Thorsland after that. And Shannon Courtney don't beat no Dina Thorsland. Nope.
No, sir. So I see the strategy, and the logic is sound. Look for the ring return of Shannon Courtney on the undercard of Harper versus Dubois.
Now it's time for another installment of what is fast becoming the most popular segment here on the channel, the Ring IQ Hate mail!
A guy who goes by the name Wilfredo Cervantes didn't like my recent video detailing David Benavidez' obsession with Canelo Alvarez over a fight that isn't going to happen but he won't shut up about, saying, "This channel will bash Benavidez for making Canelo look like a coward. Bivol had his chance at Benavidez also, but decided to do surgeries months later when Bivol could have easily took care of that surgery right after Better Beef 2.
He did have the surgery after Better Beef 2, and it didn't even take long. What the fuck are you talking about?
And gotten an exception from the WBC and not had to vacate his WBC title. The reporters always ask Benavidez about Canelo.
There were no reporters asking David about Canelo in that video. It was literally David and Turkey LL Sheik, and David's the one brought him up.
But this channel will give Benavidez an unfair assessment.
I literally played the video for you. I didn't edit it. I didn't put anything in there. In the video is David Benavidez and Turkey LL Sheik, and while Turkey's talking to him about a Bivol fight, a Better Beef fight, an Opataya fight, what David was talking about was Canelo, because David's the one that brought him up. He's a full-blown cruiserweight now, still talking about a guy at 168.
Still obsessing and saying the same thing, that he doesn't need Canelo and he's not gonna wait for him, but then why are you the one bringing him up to Turkey LL Sheik? You don't have the leverage to make Canelo Alvarez move up for you, and you're too fucking fat to move down for him, so the fight is dead. It's done. At this point, it's not about liking Canelo or not liking Canelo, because irrespective of whether you like him or not, the fight isn't gonna happen. So move the fuck on!
You're telling me that every podcast appearance this guy makes, and every time they point a mic in front of him, it's the media asking him about Canelo? No, it's him bringing him up.
Over a fight that isn't gonna happen, because isn't that what David Benavidez always says? That Canelo doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't understand. The fight isn't gonna happen. So if it isn't gonna happen, why don't you stop talking about it?
Because the media keeps asking him.
Then stop answering questions about it. Not that long ago, a member of the media asked Shakur Stevenson about Gervonta Davis. And Shakur Stevenson, knowing that the fight ain't gonna happen, didn't answer any questions about it. He didn't mince words. He didn't waste time.
Like David.
Your real problem is, and what you don't like about what I said, is that it's obvious. The biggest part of promoting David Benavidez is bringing up Canelo Alvarez, because if you don't, he's just not that interesting. He's made about 3 or 4 pay-per-view appearances where he was in the main event, none of which sold anything. And the only real appeal of David is bringing up Canelo, because without that,
nobody cares.
Nobody's listening. Over a fight that even David says isn't gonna happen. Well, if you know it's not gonna happen, why do you keep talking about it?
Sounds stupid. Saying the same thing over and over on all these different podcasts.
What are you gonna do? Single white female this guy for the rest of your career? You're a full-blown cruiserweight now. You're about to fight for not 1, but 2 cruiserweight titles. He spends more time talking about Canelo than talking about the guy he's about to fight.
Why?
Because if he sat there talking about Zurdo Ramirez, a lot of people really wouldn't pay attention. If you Google any one of David Benavidez's podcast appearances or sound bites, interviews, articles, it's always about the same thing, about the same guy.
Why?
Well, I said it in my previous video. A part of David Benavidez resents that he never got the Canelo fight and outgrew the super middleweight division, so now he sort of blames Canelo for that he's had to move up in weight and fight bigger men.
His entire gimmick was towering over all the super middleweights, but the further up he moves, the less of a size advantage he has, and he resents Canelo because he feels that Canelo deliberately waited him out, outlasted him.
All of which is besides the point, because if according to you, Canelo doesn't want to fight you because he's scared, so it isn't going to happen, you shouldn't spend this much time talking about it. What are you, pouting?
Why are you mad?
Even if the Canelo Alvarez fight is dead in the water and it's not going to happen, the fight with Bivol isn't. You can still have that one. Very recently, Bivol entertained a move up to cruiserweight, and he's the guy who beat Canelo Alvarez, so wouldn't that be better?
Instead of focusing on Canelo, you can still have a fight with the guy that beat him.
But David Benavidez's supporters don't like it none too much that I regularly point out. He's got no reason to still be talking about Canelo. You guys are far removed by weight. He's still at 168 and you're about a nose hair away from heavyweight. So why would you still be focused on him?
That's suspicious.
It's fucking gay is what it is, the way you keep obsessing about this guy.
That's weird.
Let it go, fat boy. You've completely outgrown the super middleweight division, and to my knowledge, Canelo has no immediate plans of moving up in weight. By all accounts, he's hit his ceiling as a super middleweight, and there's no shame in that, because this guy started out at 147.
You too fucking fat to be worrying about him?
Men's heavyweight news. Sure, you guys have heard already that Alexander Usyk is set to defend his WBC title versus kickboxer at the Pyramids of Giza.
Gentleman that goes by the name Rico Verhoeven of the Netherlands, otherwise known as the Prince of Kickboxing. Alexander Usyk's return to the ring will be a unique one, as the three-time undisputed champion will defend the WBC heavyweight title against kickboxer Rico Verhoeven on May 23rd at the Pyramids of Giza in Egypt. The ring announced on Friday. The fight will headline an event dubbed Glory of Giza, Undefeated Icons, and stream live exclusively on DAZN.
Usyk is coming off a fifth-round knockout of Daniel Dubois in July and has had limited options for his next fight, as he has beaten Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Daniel Dubois 2 times each since 2021. There was discussion surrounding a possible fight with former WBC champion Deontay Wilder, but Usyk opted to go in a different direction.
I remember reading from Team Wilder that they were open to doing the Usyk fight, but they didn't have a date. They didn't have a location. I myself was wondering who's supposed to pay for that fight, because Usyk is going to want a lot of money, and so is Deontay Wilder. I'd wager that that wasn't a fight that Turki El Sheikh was interested in paying for. That's why it didn't happen.
But this one is.
Usyk, now 39 years old, had teased an announcement was coming earlier in the week on his social media, and a bout with Glory Kickboxing's longest reigning heavyweight champion had been discussed. Not only will Usyk step into the ring with a man widely regarded as one of the greatest kickboxers of all time with a record of 66-10, but he will also do it at the Pyramids of Giza in North Africa, where I studied for a number of years under Father Karras and Father Marin.
What?
The power of Christ compels you!
What?
The power of Christ compels you!
I truly respect people who reach the very top in their sport, Usyk said in a statement. Rico is one of them, a powerful athlete and a great champion. Being a champion isn't just about the belts, it's about years of hard work, discipline, and belief. I respect his journey. He's truly the king of kickboxing, but this is boxing, a different game, with its own rules and its own kings. I'm ready and really looking forward to meeting him in the ring. It's going to be a unique experience for the both of us, and I know the fans are excited too. Fighting out of the Netherlands, Verhoeven held the Glory heavyweight title for 4,220 days with 13 successful title defenses from 2013 to 2025. The Dutch kickboxer has tried his hand at boxing once and defeated Janos Finfera by knockout in 2014, Verhoeven 36. Also has one MMA fight, a TKO win over Victor Bogutski in 2015. I spent 12 years as the undisputed heavyweight kickboxing champion and accomplished everything I set out to accomplish, Verhoeven said. But staying at the top didn't take away the hunger, it strengthened it. I wasn't looking for comfort, so I started looking at the highest challenge available in another world. Usyk is undisputed in boxing. That's the kind of challenge that motivates me. Undisputed versus undisputed. The best facing the best. It's my understanding that young Rico actually retired from kickboxing last year.
I remember Rico. I trained with him for a number of years in Myanmar.
No, you didn't.
Up until this point, the name of Rico Verhoeven was attached to a potential Anthony Joshua fight en route to a Tyson Fury showdown. But Anthony, unfortunately, was in that horrific car accident, and any talks about fighting Rico were stalled.
I'm not against this fight at this point in Alexander Usyk's career, because who but Usyk has earned it more? The chance to have things his way and have a bit of fun. I mean, at the end of Floyd Mayweather's career, he boxed Conor McGregor. So why can't Usyk box Rico Verhoeven? Crossover fights are nothing new in the sport of boxing. If you're a seasoned boxing fan, you'll have seen a good number of them by now. That I'm not losing my mind over this thing, like some people.
Like the host of Cigar Talk, Najee, who reacted to the fight by saying, Usyk ducked Caballel in broad daylight. If any other pound-for-pound fighter fought a UFC guy, the slander would be unbearable. Keep the same energy.
When the only thing Najee is keeping the same is his consistent hate and his consistent slander of Alexander Usyk. By now, it's an established pattern if you've been paying attention, and he's just taking this as an opportunity to keep doing what he's been doing, and that's downplaying Alexander Usyk. I remember after Usyk's second win over Tyson Fury.
Didn't Najee pick Fury to win those fights?
Yes, he did. And upon hearing people say that Usyk has established himself as an all-time great in his era, in his time, Najee didn't take too kindly to that, saying he doesn't think that Usyk's an all-time great, even though he's proven him wrong more than once, saying Usyk is a great fighter in his generation. But when y'all start with the all-time great heavyweight talk, you're overrating him. Daniel Dubois is gonna hurt him again to the body and win.
He said that?
In July of last year he did. Ahead of their rematch, he said, July 20th, I'm gonna be on here handing out a bunch of I told you so's.
I guess by now we can say he had to cancel that party. So it's not hard to see what Najee's real problem with the Rico Verhoeven fight is. It's not even that it's Rico or that there's a title on the line. It's that he already had an axe to grind with Alexander Usyk. He already didn't like him.
But why? What is there to not like about Alexander Usyk?
But he's white. Ah, shit. That's what I think it is. I ain't got no hair on my tongue, and I ain't gonna beat around the bush. I don't have any biases to hide behind. I'm not a Ukrainian, so this is not me being biased towards the Ukrainian fighter. I'm not a white man.
From the Caribbean.
I'm just calling a spade a spade. When I see somebody losing their mind over Alexander Usyk of all people, taking his foot off the gas, taking a break from fighting the elites at his weight, how could anybody be mad at that? It's all that guy's ever done. So that when one of the critics of this fight happens to be the same guy that picked Fury to beat him and Daniel to beat him,
The conclusion I've come to is for a fighter as accomplished as an Alexander Usyk, it's actually okay to do a crossover fight because we've seen many crossover fights before, whether it's Ali versus Inoki,
and bear in mind that Muhammad Ali was undisputed heavyweight champion at the time.
Mayweather versus McGregor, Fury versus Ngannou, Anthony Joshua versus Ngannou. Crossover fights are nothing new, and this is just another. For one of the most accomplished fighters the sport has ever seen, I'm okay with it. And if you're not,
Odds are you already had a problem with this guy before this fight was announced, and you were just waiting to say something bad.
waiting for something to pop up so that you can keep doing what you've been doing. You don't fool me. And this is intended to be one of the modern boxing scribes. A guy with an open bias against the fighter for no other reason than he's got a different skin tone, because that's what it is.
He's a bigot.
What I believe this fight heralds is that Usyk is in fact at the end of his career, not that that needed much explaining. Having done everything he's already done, now 39 years old, how many more years do you think he was going to give to the sport? Now, some people are griping that he's still holding alphabet titles, each one with a mandatory challenger in the queue, but if you had to wait until you cleared all your mandatories to retire, you would probably never retire, because there's always going to be another. I'm honestly okay with the fight. I'm okay with Usyk, out of all people, having some fun, because I think he's earned it. And if you don't,
Your biases are showing.
you likely already had a problem with this guy before this fight got announced. And it's very obvious. Telling you, the powers that be are handing out microphones to just any old riffraff these days. These are supposed to be the pundits.
Sheesh.